Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So this week I wanted to talk about standards and specifically accuracy standards, right? Where do we need to put rounds on an individual to make them stop doing whatever it is that made us start shooting them in the first place? Now, the reason for this video is because there are a ton of targets out there and their scoring zones don't necessarily translate to anatomical representation. So I wanted to go over a couple of popular targets here. Uh, there are QSPSA, IDPA, B8s. You have the big B27 silhouettes, like the big green, blue, black silhouettes that we see at the range all the time. And those are not anatomically correct, but for somebody just getting into the defensive space, starting to carry, starting to train, they may not necessarily be aware of that, right? They're going off of what they can have access to. So this is what that's for. So I'm going to start off here with, we need something to understand the anatomical representation, right? Where the vitals are. Now, this is from Sage Dynamics. You can print this off of his website. He's done a good job of anatomical represented targets. And this one is pretty straightforward, right? You have the heart, the arteries, the spine, the lungs. Pretty much fits on a sheet of paper, right? Pretty close. Okay. Now, with this in mind, and within representation of my body, the heart and everything here, the vitals are pretty much right where the nipple line is, or in line with the armpit. So that's about right there where we want to be. Okay. So we're going to use that for our anatomical representation overlay on these other targets. So we're going to start off with what's going to be the most popular, probably, I would think, is going to be the USPSA, right? So now you can see that I have cut the A zone out of this, so we have a clear view of anatomical representation. Now, when it comes to the USPSA target, the torso is pretty close to the size of a person, right? Like D zone would be arms, C zone is torso. And then the head, it's short and stubby, but the head box represents the ocular cavity, which is correct. Other than this being a little bit short, fairly accurate. And I'm not discouraging anyone from shooting USPSA targets. I shoot a lot of USPSA targets. This is just in the defensive context, anatomical shot placement, right? So I'm going to go ahead and lay this over about where that would be on the body for me. So let's see if I can hold this up straight here. All right. So pretty close, as we can see. Everything in the pump house is in the center of the A zone, spine, arteries, all that good stuff. The only thing I don't like about the USPSA A zone is going to be this bunch of unused space down here, right? We're shooting in a pocket of that. Is there spine and the aorta in that there? Yeah, absolutely. But we're shooting for the biggest portion of this, right, to stop a fight. So if you're looking to use a USPSA target and you want to focus on anatomical representation, I would shoot the upper half of the USPSA A zone and leave it there. Like I said, this is going to count as scoring, depending on what you're shooting, but it's not necessarily going to be fight-stopping hits down there, right? So just understanding that and realizing where the limitations lie on the scoring zones of the target. Okay, next is this is going to be a single target that is going to represent several targets. So that's going to be the 8-inch circle. So that falls under IDPA, B8s, other just general 8-inch circle targets. Now, this is a cutout of a target that I use, and this one's actually a 7.5-inch circle. The 8-inch circle is good. I just decided to shrink it down 1/2 inch because that brings it a little tighter in on all the goodies here in the upper thoracic cavity. And I'm going to show you where this lies. So 7.5-inch circle pretty much covers everything, right? If we're within that 8-inch circle, we're putting good, hits on target. We're pretty much going to be putting rounds through everything that we need to get good fight stopping hits. And that's going to go for the B8 and everything else. Here's the center cutout of that. Pretty good. I am a fan of the 7.5 or 8-inch circle. Now, if you really want to get it down to really niche anatomical representation, right? You could do something like the shoot steel. Now, I really like these targets, mostly because it is a good representation of a full silhouette. You got the ears on the target. I do like the ocular cavity on this. I think this is much more correct than just the 3x5 head box, but it's not bad, right? I like this one. When it comes to the torso, the upper thoracic cavity, let's see how this overlays. So you have a 5-inch circle for the heart, and if you think about that, the heart, let's look at this. That's about the size of a fist, right? A fist-sized group. Let's overlay that right here. 5-inch circle. So that's pretty much right on the heart, okay? We can overlay that. So in representation to this, let's see how that goes. We still got some meaty bits down here that could be fair game in those standards, excuse me. And, you know, that's acceptable. So this is a high accuracy standard, in my opinion. And, you know, I would, though, cut it off about right here on that target. I think this is a little too forgiving, and I would be very cautious to consider my scoring in this as acceptable. Now let's take this same thing, knowing how this overlays with this target, and see how that fares. So we have a little bit more space, which is going to allow us a little bit more freedom to speed up and still account for fight stopping hits. So 5-inch circle is great, depending on your performance level and what you can do and your standards of what you're trying to achieve. That may be perfect for you. Personally, I think the 8-inch circle is good all around. It encompasses enough of the vitals that we are going to get everything that we need to get, right? So, and that's our goal, to induce blood loss trauma or neurological disruption. So, yeah, whenever you're going out and you're training, you're selecting your targets, I want you to keep this in mind and just take note of what you're training for, what it is you're trying to achieve. If you're training for competition and you're shooting USPSA targets, that is absolutely fine. If you're training defensively and you're shooting USPSA targets, that is absolutely fine. Just understand where the limits are on the anatomical representation for fight-stopping hits. Okay. Outside of that, that's all I have for y'all this week. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel, share this with your friends if you enjoy this information, and keep you up to date with everything that's going on here. Also, I want you to get down in the comments. Let me know what targets you train on, because I know there are other ones that have full skeletal representation. And I'm curious what everybody likes to use and what they choose. So, hope everyone has a great week. And until next time, y'all stay safe.